News from the Sultanate of Oman Television. First, the headlines. The total population of the Sultanate reaches to more than 4.5 million people. The Central Bank of Oman announces the issuance of government development bonds worth 100 million Omani riyals. And Moscow accuses Washington of rejecting the Syria ceasefire deal brokered through a Russian-American agreement. Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has sent a cable of greetings to Her Excellency President Michelle Bachelet of Chile on her country's independence anniversary. According to latest statistics by the National Center for Statistics and Information, the total population of the Sultanate until the current month amounted to more than 4.5 million people, recording a growth by 2.62% compared to the Census of Population, Housing and Establishments back in 2010. This came in line with the economic growth witnessed by the Sultanate, as well as the implementation of big projects in the ports, roads, airports and transitional industry sectors, in addition to the urban development. These statistics pointed out that Omanis represent 2,443,590 people, while expatriates reached 2,056,700 people of the total population. The work on the first phase of the logistic area in the Governorate of South Batna is progressing well according to the main scheme. This came in a statement by an official source in the Oman Logistics Company. The first phase includes establishment of a 3 square kilometers block that includes store area, truck service center, housing, shopping and entertainment areas, as well as other places for government facilities. The source also added that other services will also be available in the area, such as public and customs services, among many others. Central Bank of Oman CBO announced that it intends to issue government development bonds at the value of 100 million Omani riyals for a maturity period of 6 years. CBO said in a statement that the subscription will be opened from the 18th to the 26th of the current month, pointing out that the bonds will be issued through competitive subscriptions only, and investors should submit their bids through commercial banks working in the Sultanate during the subscription period. The Sultanate's gross domestic product decreased at the first quarter of the current year by 12% compared to the same period last year. These statistics issued by the National Center of Statistics and Information show the Sultanate's gross domestic product at the end of March 2016 recorded around 5.6 billion riyals compared to 6.4 billion in the same period in 2015. The Statistics Bulletin also pointed out the decline in the domestic product of oil activities by 34%, while the activities of the non-oil products recorded 4.3 billion Omani riyals, with a decrease of 2.4%. Muscat securities market witnessed a positive performance in the last 8 months in 2016. The number of the traded securities increased during this period to reach more than 3.35 billion compared to 3.33 billion in the same period last year. The low prices of these shares encouraged the investors to purchase, especially the big companies and the investment funds. Still to come in our news bulletin. Rejoicing the blessed Eid al-Adha celebrations and festivals are organized in the Wilaya of Wadi al-Ma'awil. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Airstrikes and clashes tested a fragile ceasefire in Syria today as civilians waited for aid and tensions mounted between the deal's brokers, Russia and the United States. In New York, the UN Secretary Council cancelled an urgent meeting that had been called to discuss whether to endorse the truce, billed as the last chance to end the 5-year war that has killed 300,000 people. The closed-door consultations were scrapped after Moscow and Washington failed to agree over disclosing details of the ceasefire to the Council. If the truce, which began Monday, lasts 7 days and humanitarian access is granted, Russia and the US are to work together to target militants, including the Daesh group and former al-Qaeda affiliate Fatah al-Sham Front. Russia said that only Moscow and the Syrian regime were fulfilling the deal. The United States warned Russia that potential military cooperation envisioned by a ceasefire deal in Syria will not happen unless humanitarian aid begins to flow into Aleppo and other besieged communities. The warning came as President Barack Obama's top national security aides continued to wrangle over whether and how to cooperate militarily with the Russians in the event those conditions are met. Secretary of State John Kerry told Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in a telephone call that Moscow must persuade the Syrian government to get the aid moving, or a joint facility to coordinate attacks on extremist groups and share intelligence will not be set up. Obama discussed the ceasefire agreement and the broader campaign against the Daesh group with his national security team. The Russian Foreign Ministry said Lavrov had once again called for the United States to make the agreement public and have the United Nations Security Council endorse it. The spotlight will be on Syria when world leaders gather at the United Nations next week, as the United States and Russia try to shore up a fragile truce deal and President Barack Obama pushes for a boost in global refugee aid. Some 135 heads of state and government and dozens of ministers will attend the 71st General Assembly, the last for both Obama and UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, who will step down at the end of 2016 after a decade in the job. Members of the International Syria Support Group, which includes Russia and the United States, are likely to meet on the sidelines at the United Nations on Tuesday, while the UN Secretary Council is due to hold a high-level meeting on Syria on Wednesday. European leaders struggling to overcome a historic crisis following Britain's vote to leave the EU agreed today to explore closer defence cooperation and boost security at their external borders, but could not hide deep divisions over refugees and economic policy. Meeting in the Slovak capital Bratislava with the British conspicuously absent, the 27 other EU members unveiled a 6-month roadmap of measures designed to restore public confidence in Europe's ailing common project. But several leaders, including Italy's Matteo Renzi and Hungary's Viktor Orban, shattered the facade of unity as soon as the meeting ended, underscoring how divided the bloc remains after years of economic crisis, a record influx of migrants, and a series of deadly attacks by militants. Hundreds of migrants were brought to the Italian port of Augusta today after being rescued from the sea off the coast of Libya. 5 dead bodies were also recovered in the operation. The exact causes of death were not yet known, but the migrants often travel in inhuman conditions, with more than 100 people packed into dinghies that would be suitable for a few dozen. A spokesperson for the UN Refugee Agency said that while the numbers of people coming to Italy this year are broadly similar to 2015, there are more unaccompanied young children making the journey to Europe. On the frontier between Europe and Africa, Italy is the focus for hundreds of thousands of migrants fleeing conflict and poverty in Africa, packed into rickety boats by smugglers. People smugglers have taken advantage of a breakdown of order in Libya to use it as a launch pad for their business, less than 500 kilometers from the Italian island of Sicily. On the occasion of the blessed Eid al-Adha, the citizens in the Walaya of Al-Qabil in the governorate of North Sharqiya organized a horse festival. The event included a variety of shows in which the jockeys showed great artistic skills while riding the horses as well as competing in the horse races. The event witnessed a huge attendance from members of the society and those interested in horse festivals. The activities of the festival were accompanied by Omani singing arts to add a traditional feel to the event, as such sports are considered part of the Omani heritage. The Wilaya of Wadi al-Ma'awil also witnessed a number of celebrations and festivals on the occasion of the blessed Eid al-Adha. The activities varied among horse shows, traditional dances performed by the locals, in addition to family gatherings and games for children. The participants expressed their joy and happiness on this blessed occasion, as the celebrations witnessed a huge turnout by the members of the society to enjoy their Eid leave. And now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Partly cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the Governorate of Dhofar, with chances of intermittent drizzle. Rest of the Sultanate will have clear skies with cloud accumulation and scattered rainfall over the Hajar Mountains. Low clouds and fog late at night and early morning are expected over most of the coastal areas of the Arabian Sea. Winds will be easterly to northeasterly light to moderate over the coasts of Sea of Oman, while on the rest of the coast it will be southeasterly to southerly light to moderate. Seas will be moderate along the coasts of Sea of the Arabian Sea with a maximum wave height of 2 meters, and slight along the coast of Sea of Oman with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The total population of the Sultanate reaches to more than 4.5 million people. The Central Bank of Oman announces the issuance of government development bonds worth 100 million Omani riyals. And Moscow accuses Washington of rejecting the Syria ceasefire deal brokered through a Russian-American agreement. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.